All right, folks, it's another Friday in the life of the world. In the Gregorian calendar, January 24th. Welcome, I'm Citizen Jones. On the program today, federal government and Southwest governors reach compromise on Amotekun Security Initiative. National Economic Council, NEC, says no result to show for 1.7 trillion naira investment in the power sector in the last 3 years. And later on this one, Pinnacle Communications condemns invasion of his Abuja office by ICPC. But let's report that I'm hanging out with a returning Babajide Kolade-Otitoju. Kolade, I greet you.
Thank you so much.
And Jide has recovered from his holiday. Welcome.
Yes.
You know, in spite of all you did last year, you survived, but great.
And you survived too.
It surprised me too.
It's a massive achievement to survive in Nigeria.
Especially of the 21st century.
Yes.
All right. We also have a Kolade Johnson. He has a knack for figures and words and stuff. Kolawole Johnson.
The great citizen.
Welcome.
My good to be here.
Okay, you know, the team is ready. I hope you are. Okay, you know, the Amotekun security ambition, or if you like, inventiveness for the Southwest was bound to provoke a mishmash of reactions from within and without. It got to a crescendo when the federal authorities reacted with raised eyebrows. Thankfully, though, both the federal government and Southwest governors steered a middle ground on Thursday when both parties agreed to develop a legal framework for the outfit. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo and Attorney General Abubakar Malami and Southwest governors all rose from the meeting feeling happy with a compromise. Let's hear from Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, who spoke to newsmen after the parley. Watch on.
We have brought minds and all of us have agreed on way forward. And most important one is that we are going to have the legal framework to back this Amotekun. And this legal framework is going to be one in which all of us will look at and we'll be sure that it goes without any hindrance.
So would that mean now that the establishment of this outfit has been put on hold until the legal framework is developed?
No, what I believe our resolution is that, look, Amotekun is there. Amotekun will have to, you know, the federal government is starting community policing. And it's more of, in essence, really, it's about community policing. So we're going to work together and see the community policing and Amotekun work in a way.
Okay, Jide, but you know, for me, there's a marked difference between a good sounding initiative and an initiative that sounds good. Why put the cart before the horse? Am I making sense here?
Sometimes you can put the cart before the horse.
Sometimes you can?
Yes, and I tell you, civilian JTF in Borno State had been in operation before the law given legal taste to it was formulated. If we talk about the Nigerian Peace Corps now, you know, there are already the assumption that the president would give his assent.
Okay.
They already have offices.
Okay.
And the rest, but the president has not given his assent. But there are people today who parade themselves as staff of the Nigerian Peace Corps and who desperately wanted to come to legal fruition. So the thing is, when you have a situation like this, when you are desperate, when you quickly want to find a solution, you could make some mistakes. There could be those things that ordinarily you ought to factor into your plans that you could just ignore. You know, so I believe this is what has happened. The governors have done the right thing, and it was not illegal. It was not illegal to set it up. It was not illegal.
So the process of setting it up couldn't have been illegal.
No, it was not illegal.
But where is the problem now?
It was not illegal, but you are setting up an organization like Amotekun. You need to back it by law so that issue of its funding and others will be guaranteed and taken care of by the law. So this is the thing. Remember, the Attorney General initially said that no state government, whether singly or in a group, has the legal right and competence to establish any form of organization or agency. He has since recanted. And at that point, he said it was illegal. But we had big lawyers like Babajide saying, no, this Amotekun is not illegal. Tell him to go to court. So that the law that he has in mind,
aggrieved, let him go to court.
Let him go to court. Because he is the chief law officer of our country, but he is not a court. He can be wrong. He can be wrong. So the point that I'm making, even in using the civilian JTF explanation, is that, look, you can actually set up an outfit.
Can you cite the Hisbah here?
No, the Hisbah, because it's a product of the Islamic legal code. So no one can say that one is not backed by law. It's a product of the Islamic legal code in some states of the north where Sharia is practiced. This is the thing. Hisbah cannot be compared to Amotekun, but no one, because the law does not say only the police can protect the people. You know, there are certain things funny about our constitution. You call me the chief security officer of my state. You give me the mandate to protect lives and property in my state. And you are saying that I cannot set up a body with the duty of protecting the people who are resident in my state.
Even if without legal backing.
Yes. You can set it up. This one, giving it legal backing is just to fulfill all righteousness. Which is the right thing to do, in my view. But to say that at the point when it was set up, it was illegal to set it up. That was wrong, and that was why the Attorney General said, no, I was misinterpreted. I didn't say it was illegal to set it up, because there were people who were ready to even challenge him on that.
Now he's recanting.
Yes, of course he's not.
Which is not surprising to Kolawole Johnson. Again, let me play with the word compromise. Every compromise is based on give and take. But it goes on to say, but there can be no compromise on fundamentals. Fundamentals, one of them would be security of the folks, of the people within a given jurisdiction.
Well, if you say there can be compromise on
fundamentals, what
first,
is the things that are key?
You may need to define those fundamentals. Because you may also say law is a fundamental here. And if we had all the time to think through this process, for governors to meet, they spent weeks planning this. It was surprising that they didn't take into consideration the aspect of
but your brother here is saying sometimes you can put the cart before the horse.
You can even put dog or rope before the horse. It does not matter. But I'm saying that we had all of the time to plan this process. First of all, nobody will say no to this. Whoever said no to this should come to the road and travel in the night and get kidnapped or killed. I can no longer travel. I don't think I can even be on that road now driving or anyone driving me.
At any time.
It got so bad.
No time you can't be kidnapped.
Honestly, even whether in the morning, in the noon. In those days, I could be in Abuja and maybe have to church service. I feel I should travel. Boom, I'm in my state in Ondo State, but today I can't do that again. December, I locked myself in Abuja. I didn't travel because I didn't want anybody to take me off. And I can't pay, almost 700,000 naira toll for 6 persons.
And your faith no carry.
What? If your faith carry on citizen, you can be on the road. So fact is that the governors did well by coming out with this.
as a child of necessity.
Honestly, and as one who comes from Ondo State, I'm proud of my governor. Because when they raised the hell, he also told them, come, we can't back. Even if this will cost me my second time in office, no problem. I can't play politics with the life of the people. Give it to him.
Okay.
But remember, he also came under attack from kidnappers.
Yes, he was a victim.
Yes,
he was a victim. In fact, one of his aides, who was right and who left this station, was also a victim. His farmland was destroyed. And so if we are saying that we should put in place measures to ensure that we reduce friction, or measures to ensure that we secure the people, I don't think an Attorney General will sit in the comfort of his office and say that, no, you don't have the right to do that. But I am also saying, on the other hand, that we had weeks to plan this. How come we never thought about the side of the law? Yeah, months. Yeah. So how come that we never thought about the side of the law? So I think this is also a wake-up call that, it is normal in Nigeria.
Yeah.
We don't respond to issues until they dovetail to crisis. A lot of times.
As the BB man would say, you no go they interested in a case when it costs 1 kobo until it becomes 20 million.
It is about our way of life here in Nigeria.
Yeah.
We don't respond. We don't take time to do.
Yeah.
Planning is strategic to anything you want to do.
You see, for those who had been meeting with them, because they met with the president in August, they met with the IG, the police was part of the conception of this idea. So why didn't...
So it's no Greek.
No one can say that they didn't really consult with stakeholders. No one can say that. I was aware of the time that they met the president. Remember when the Oni of Ife had to go and meet the president after the killing of Baba Fashiron's daughter?
Okay, yeah.
It was a problem at that time. People being kidnapped on our roads. And the governor of Osun State actually let it be known to the president that, look, we have come up with this idea of buying drones to secure our area. But as we speak, because of our skilled federal structure, they can't take possession of the drones as we speak. They can't use the drones. Now, the thing is, no one says that Amotekun from the beginning, forget about what people were saying. Amotekun from the beginning was meant to work with the police. The police wanted it. I said it, I just didn't want to embarrass an AIG who was extremely excited that Amotekun is here. And they said, look, this is good for us. We'll work together. They work together in the planning.
Okay.
Suddenly, the IG started calling people, no, don't do this, don't do the thing. This is how we found ourselves in this problem. Many people were excited. Remember, even some governors from the north were already planning to copy Amotekun. He just took that speech by the Attorney General. Yeah. And we thank God that already now he's disowned that speech, because he
has seen the light.
You can't say that nobody has the competence to form an organization.
Okay.
He said that no legal right and competence to establish any form of organization or agency for the defense of Nigeria or any of its constituent parts. Of course, this is not true. This is not true. Various states have formed organizations to defend their people. Yeah. In 23 states in our country, there are security
23
outfits.
Different security outfits.
Yes, securing the people. So all that we need to do now...
without friction.
No, without friction. Nobody
said, no, you can't. Aside from that, neighborhoods, they put money together to have vigilantes. But I think some school of thought... Yes, you have them.
Look at even in Zamfara, the former governor, Yari set up a vigilance group.
Outfit, yeah.
Yes.
That is why...
And nobody said, no, Yari, you can't do it.
I'm about saying something here, and I want to be a bit careful about it. Because some are also saying, is there any conspiracy to this? While I will not believe that, there is an instance I'd like to cite. The old man that his daughter was killed sometimes back, came to the press to say the police have stopped investigation on this issue. And he even went further to say that those police told them that it was an order from above that they should stop. Now, if there was killing spree in an environment, of course, that one became loud because she came from a lead, of course, an affluent background. But many have been killed.
Oh, yeah.
Whose names?
Unsung.
Yeah.
Yes, so many.
Now, if the one that was so celebrated, that the entire nation cried about, that even the president sent a condolence letter or speech or something to him, the police stopped investigation, yet you want to deny the people from protecting themselves against such. I think we should also start thinking that is there any conspiracy? I don't want to believe that.
Let's not be too sure that the police stopped investigation, because tomorrow they will say no, we didn't stop investigation. What we can say is that their investigation so far has yielded nothing. We would expect, and sometimes it takes so long.
I'm not saying it to the man said it by himself. I'm only reporting what he said.
It doesn't matter.
You have to give them benefit of the doubt. He's speaking daggers. He is speaking daggers, but using none. So
we can't be so sure that they stopped the investigation. What we can say at this stage is that the investigation has yielded nothing. At least we cannot see the tangibles.
Pussyfooting.
Yes, we cannot see the tangibles that the investigation yielded. I know that even when bandits killed some policemen working with Abba Kyari's IRC team in Kaduna, it took a long time before they were able to get hold of those bandits.
But eventually they got hold of them.
Yes,
which is saying it is possible.
It's possible. Sometimes they are swift.
Yeah.
Sometimes they are lucky. They hit a bull's high quickly. Sometimes too it takes a long time. Sometimes they don't succeed at all. So this is the thing. But the point that we are making is a good thing.
Even so, you also can say, put a finger on it, they tried their best.
Yes, or they are still trying their best.
Still trying their
best. The good thing is, yes, we are heading somewhere. And Amotekun, in spite of the naysayers and the people who said no, it was Kanu that was sponsoring it, it was Atiku that was sponsoring it, Amotekun has come to stay. It will be legally backed up, and it will work for our people. It will work as part of the federal government's community policing initiative, which has taken the IG to at least 5 of the political zones in our country. So we are eager, because we know that once we use people who are raised in such communities, and you provide them with all that they need, definitely
you get results.
Crime will go drastically down. We can't wait to see that happen.
And again, this last point.
I was going, so I don't forget this. Okay. Now, both parties have met, they found a meeting point. There's a middle ground. So what do you expect from here?
We expect success of Amotekun. I mean, very straight. And I listened to an elder statesman, or I heard, who said that funding would be a problem. Who is largely funding security in the state? Go and check vehicles that Nigerian police, that they use in most states. In Lagos State here, do you know how many times they bought helicopters? Heavy equipment for the Nigerian police. That should not be in the purview of the state government. But because
they are the ones funding,
they are practically funding the Nigerian police. So if they are funding their own to protect their own, is that bad?
There are even ways to do it. We've suggested to some of these governors that, look, you have security outfits in your states. All you need to do is subsume those outfits into
the Nigerian police.
Into the Amotekun. For example, Ogun State has its own security outfit. They even carry them guns. All you need to do now is say, okay, since Amotekun will now cut across all of the southwest states, elements working for our security outfit will move them to Amotekun. You know, so nearly every state has such a. If a state like Borno were to do, for example, they could say, okay, some of the guys on civilian JTF go and work for
There can be a rapport, yeah.
So, no, what I'm even saying is that since you fund those ones, you pay their salaries, just move them into that so that you don't have duplicity. Okay. You don't have two different security outfits. Move them into Amotekun so that they will now, the salaries that you pay and all that,
we just go without saying.
Yes, go to
Kolawole. So let's rub this in as we take it home. So there's no fear of somebody hijacking this ahead of 2023, blah, 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 blah. Because in the process, there was a lot of hue and cry about, oh, Jagaban has not said anything and all that.
I think I was part of those who I was angry silently that he wasn't contributing his voice to it. But if you look at it truly, when he talked, I think you must have read between the lines
the resolution
that his intervention did so much. And don't forget that an elder statesman will not behave like us, who will want to fight dirty.
Yes.
You have to be, you are an icebreaker. You must, be seen to bring
time. Yes. Obviously, yeah, yeah. Okay, all right, the debate must continue, but at this point, at a time like this, the quotation of JFK, John F. Kennedy, when he had a rough patch with the East, he said, let us never fear to negotiate, but let us negotiate let us not negotiate. We shall
never negotiate to fail.
Yeah, we shall never negotiate out of fear. So, Amotekun is here to say. Okay then, it is not sheer happenstance that we have had to discuss power or electricity issues for 3 Fridays running. Now, we feel a sense of vindication to have the National Economic Council, the NEC, headed by Mr. Vice President, call for a pry into the activities of discourse and memoranda from stakeholders and members of the public alike. And so after spending a whopping 1.7 trillion naira on the power sector in 3 years and without a visible change, it is time to raise questions. According to Governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, who doubles as committee head set up by the NEC, the electricity situation in Nigeria is broken and requires, Jide, a declaration of a state of emergency. And Kolade. So let's share this story with you. Watch this now.
Prominent on the agenda at the National Economic Council meeting is the headache caused by a non-responsive power sector that has gulped about 1.7 trillion naira in 3 years. The committee set up to review the status of the ownership structure of electricity companies is now looking into how to unbundle this critical sector and fix it.
20%.
Nasir El-Rufai, governor of Kaduna State, is saddled with this responsibility, and he says it is a job that must be done.
And we all agreed that the electricity supply industry is broken and the situation of the power sector is a national emergency that requires all hands to be put on deck to interrogate why the sector is not working for the overall progress and benefit of Nigeria and Nigerians.
The Economic Council is also considering alternative means of bridging the huge infrastructure gap in the country. The governors and other members of the Economic Council were briefed on the state of the economy, especially on the balances in special accounts of the Federation.
As I say, gentlemen, I second that motion declaring an emergency in the power sector. Right? Wrong?
Yeah, it's a good thing to know that we are telling ourselves the truth.
At least for once.
Yes. Sometimes when we talk about the fact that we have not really made progress in this area, you will find someone who will say, oh, I get 24 hours electricity in my house. That is an illiterate way of looking at the problem. The way to know whether we are making progress is to look at both the generating capacity and the distribution capacity. It's not whether you have light for 24 hours or you don't. It is the overall generating capacity
across board,
and the transmission capacity as well. The generating capacity, the transmission capacity, and the distribution capacity. We have to look at that. If we generate 10,000 megawatts, as we are capable of generating, and the transmission company of Nigeria cannot wheel more than 5,000 megawatts, or just a little over 5,000 megawatts, because we have never transmitted up to 6,000 megawatts, then you cannot say that we are there. Because for a nation of 200 million people, you can't tell me that 6,000 megawatts of electricity is enough for us. Of course, it's not enough. So this is the thing. Now, we privatized a substantial portion of the power sector in 2013. But we've been giving them money since then. Immediately the sector was privatized, the CBN released 213 billion to them. What have we achieved?
Now, are we talking now
the
about
GENCOs and the DISCOs? That money
11
was released.
DISCOs, how many GENCOs and so on?
The GENCOs, we gave them 213 billion.
As per the agreement?
No, for
takeoff.
Yes, to help them to
enhance what they're doing.
To help them to stabilize and all that. But the truth is, they still remain technically bankrupt as we speak. There was the government came up with an initiative to give them 701 billion over 2 years, a CBN anchored program. 701 billion. We continue to put money in a sector that we have largely privatized. It is the transmission element that we have not privatized. We have privatized DISCOs and GENCOs. Although government and generation. Although government has 40% shares in both the DISCOs and the GENCOs. But it's still privatization. But you can't continue to say, okay, this sector that you are privatized, to continue to bring money, bring taxpayers' money to fund DISCOs and GENCOs that have been privatized. Something is just not right. It's just not right the way we are doing things. So I am impressed that we have seen clearly that we are not making progress. More than 80 million Nigerians every day have no access to electricity. If you go to some states, you see clearly that, look, they are just not benefiting from electricity.
All right.
So this is the thing. We have to then ask ourselves, how do we come out of this problem? And I'm happy that Nasir El-Rufai and his team are saying, look, we are going to consult Nigerians widely so that we can find a solution to this problem. The solution is not simply to say, okay, we are taking over the DISCOs and the GENCOs. Let's have Nigerians make substantial contribution on the way forward.
Brother Johnson, but in all of this, you can say pen was put to paper in ceding these things to the private sector and so on. If they are not playing by the rules, what should happen? We're talking about the DISCOs now.
There are rules of engagement in businesses, especially when agreements were signed. You need to look into the letters. What exactly did they sign? That is why they always tell you that bad negotiators can wheel off his own life. Perhaps at the point of selling those entities, maybe we didn't do well on the negotiating table. But the real issue here, in the electricity power chain, our transmission infrastructure is the weakest link.
It is.
That is why you have a lot of stranded generation. That is, those who generate will generate, but we cannot transmit.
You can't transmit.
Maybe.
Sorry, have you bothered to imagine, as I was told, and the fellow I'm sure was not wrong, he said cross-country, this high high or cross-country cables you have that carries electricity from one place to another. The lines were not built to take more than 5,000 megawatts at a time.
Overloaded transmission lines and substations.
The truth is, the transmission lines are old.
Yeah.
Some of them are as old as 40
years. Some are obsolete.
So if you generate...
So if you pass power through them...
We've done 5,222 megawatts before. We've wheeled that.
That was long ago.
Yeah, I think 2 years ago we did 5,002.
Did we actually do?
Yes, I'm telling you what I know.
Okay.
5,222. That's why I'm accurate about the figure. But it didn't last 24 hours.
Why?
Because you see, the next thing you then experience is system shutdown. We have the capacity to generate more than 10,000 megawatts. All of those power plants at their installed capacity, we can do 10,000 megawatts. But we can't, the TCN cannot wheel 10,000,
which is where you were.
And the distribution companies are not even prepared.
That is
sometimes sometimes when you transmit more than 4,000 megawatts, a lot of it they will still not distribute because they prefer to provide electricity to people or to areas where they are certain that they will be paid.
That they will be paid. Now,
so that's the problem.
Let me go to that directly. We still talk about 10,000 megawatts when the Fitch rating, or was it the United Nations, I think, said Nigeria need about 170,000 megawatt, and we are still talking about 10,000, 5,000, 4,000. I think there was a policy that was introduced. I can't remember, minimum remittance order. Yeah, I think by TCN to the discourse. That is, pay what we give you. As in, if we transmit 2 megawatt to you, pay for it. Now there was a problem. They could not pay, and at that point, even demand for generation reduced because the discourse could not buy what they should buy to transmit to people. Again, cost effectiveness. See, the electricity value chain has a lot of problems that I think we need to sit down and answer them one after the other.
Don't tell me that electricity problems in this country must go through the rocket science route.
It is not rocket science. See, like every other problem.
Last week we were told on this table that the national grid broke down 10 times over a given period. And so what went wrong at that point?
There are many reasons why.
System failures, there are many reasons for that. I think it is not as bad as we think. Don't forget that we're coming from somewhere. 2010, we had the grid broke down 40 times in that year. But I don't think we've had it so acute again thereafter. See, there are times that things you can't even control could cause power.
So mine is, when we say it is not rocket science, what are we saying in essence?
It simply means that it is solvable. For example, I was aware that the transmission company of Nigeria had one Canadian company thereabout as a consultant to manage. I don't know, even government intervention. We need to reduce the hands of government and run this place as it should be run. Don't forget that TCN is the only unbundled company from PHCN that is still in the hands of the government.
Unbundled because we think it should be so.
Even TCN itself now needs to be unbundled. That's the new direction. There are policy documents supporting that TCN itself needs to be unbundled. What I think is this, very simple. We must, when you put El Rufai in charge of anything, for me, I go to sleep. I believe in his competence, sincerely speaking. So I want to believe that maybe we should see more of the documents that they submitted. Let us look into it and see some other solutions they've actually prescribed or things they have put down for us to do. I believe that we must break down the system and solve them unit by unit. You can't sit and want to attempt to solve the whole. Even if the units are connected to make the whole.
Even if we go to the old thing called boycott the boycottables, Jide. What we don't need, we don't need. What we need, we need.
So what is it that we don't need?
Okay, we don't need these things that will bog the electricity supply system down. We don't. Because we have said it is not rocket science.
No,
the great citizen,
just a minute. Yeah.
We already talked about why do we have system failures. There are all kinds of problems. Gas supply. We have many of the GENCOs have this gas constraint. And if out of the 22 GENCOs, about 4 or 5 of them are not producing, are not functioning.
Yeah.
It will trigger system failure because you then will not be able to generate enough, because there's a point about which you must generate. If you don't get to that point, then it is system failure that you suffer, you know. And then even the discos are complaining that they buy at 80 naira. You want them to sell at 31 naira. So even the current tariff does not support investment in the investment in the sector. So that's why when you give them much more than they need, they will rather send it to areas where they think that those ones will readily pay.
Right.
So the rest of us would then not have electricity. So there are people who breach transmission lines, gas supply lines. Those who deliberately go and breach it, they throw you and I into power crisis.
We must pass over now, but I do know for sure that there are no desperate people. I mean, there are no desperate situations. There are only desperate people. And these problems are solvable. We have agreed with that here.
No, there is a need to actually reflate that sector. All the companies that have bought these electricity farms, they do not have the financial wherewithal. You know, otherwise, nobody would need to go and give them money now. You know? So they don't have the financial wherewithal to run things.
All right then. So we let the debate go on, but the show must also move. You know, conflicts grow out of ignorance and suspicion. After all, as humans, we are suspicious and a jealous set of creatures. A licensed digital switchover operator in our country is engaged in a battle of nerves with the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC. It allegedly invaded the Abuja offices of the operator. An act, Pinnacle Communications says is despicable, unwarranted, and illegal. Pinnacle says invading its space without a warrant is utterly wrong, and the ICPC operatives appear to be saying that they are there on strong suspicion. Pinnacle Communications is one of the defendants, we know, in a 2.5 billion naira fraud suit involving the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC. We have a little something to share with you. Watch on.
Nigeria, like other member states of the ITU Region 1, signed the Geneva 2006 Agreement on Transition from Analog to Digital Terrestrial Television Broadcasting. It has begun the process of digital switchover, with Pinnacle Communications being one of its operators. In February 2019, the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission had charged Pinnacle Communications Limited and 2 others on 12 counts of alleged misappropriation of 2.5 billion naira meant for the digital switchover project of the federal government. The other defendants are Dipo Onifade and Loke Moluwa, Chairman Pinnacle Communications Limited. Trial Judge Justice Folashade Giwa adjourned the matter to 30th January 2020 for parties to adapt their written addresses. Rather than abide, Pinnacle Communications alleges that on 15th January, its office was invaded by operatives of the anti-graft agency in an attempt to arrest its chairman.
Pinnacle Communications condemns in very strong terms the illegal attempt by ICPC in the purported exercise of their power under the law to harass and intimidate Pinnacle's Communication Limited and its officials. It was a surprise visit to arrest, to embarrass.
It's usual for the agencies who are running, when an agency is running an illegal operation like this, to not accept responsibility for it. That is, you will always expect that. They were all dressed in ICPC garb, and it was very clear where they came from. And the vehicles that they came with were ICPC vehicles, and nobody could muster that kind of paraphernalia without an official backing.
They urged the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, to swiftly check the excesses of the ICPC and investigate the matter. Efforts to get reaction from the Public Relations Officer of the ICPC is yet to yield results. A switchover will make Nigeria the largest digital television market in Africa and will also give an incredible leverage to music, film and drama production.
Kola, this is very much after your heart. Open the...
Honestly, if I know that we're discussing this, I would have brought the white paper. I was telling the producers to please,
you have white papers here.
Get it for me.
Yeah.
He's not this white paper. It is the law.
Okay.
It is the law guiding this process.
But do you understand what happens, what's happening here?
Yeah, but there's a background to that. What happened here is very simple. Pinnacle Communication is the only licensed digital switchover operator in Nigeria. And they had a case, or they have a case with ICPC. Maybe we can give that background if necessary. Now, the case is still in court. So, maybe last week or so, I don't know, I didn't get a date actually, but they accused that ICPC official came to the office without a warrant, claiming they want to seal the office and make arrest. Now, if you listen to, I read the thing online. I was trying to read through here, and they said that while the officials were there, that's
the ICPC.
Yes, so then Pinnacle staffs asked them for warrant that gave them the order to come there, and they said they were acting on, in quote, coordinate. So there was no warrant. So after some, altercations,
coordinate for the man on the street means.
I don't even know. I read it. So they said they made some calls. Then after they made some calls, they now saw the ICPC officials receiving calls. They said one of them now handed over the phone to the leader of the team. And the leader of the team, that they heard him saying that we are here already. He's not around. Then they said they heard him saying that no pressmen, nobody. Apparently, they asked him that, is there any, press there? So when he said no, so he told them to leave. Now, what Pinnacle is saying is simple, that this is a contempt of court, since a case
is already in court. Yeah.
Now, the case in court will interest you. You ask yourself, why is it that today, Nigeria is still paying, some Nigerians are paying up to 200,000 naira to watch cable TV. Oh yes, at the rate of, is it 16 plus per month?
Yeah.
The least
15 plus 16.
Yeah,
16.
Yeah. The least will be paying about 24,000 naira or 2,000 naira per month. When we finish digital switch over, Nigerians won't be paying more than 2,000 naira annually. And that is less than 160 or 170 naira per month. Oh yes. So Nigerians took a big step.
So there's a rip-off somewhere.
I won't answer that.
Okay.
That is
It's not a rip-off.
No.
It's just a failure to grab an opportunity.
If you get it, a failure to grab this digital switchover opportunity. Ghana has fixed June to complete it all.
Completed in Malawi.
They have completed. Now, Ghana has fixed June to switch over completely. Now, let me come back here now. We started the process in 2014 when NBC, who, of course, they had the power to do to lead that process. They advertised for bid for Nigeria to have this operator. They said about 10, 15, 16 companies also bidded. Now, Pinnacle Communications won the bid. And they said that at the point of after winning, they paid the required license fee to the government purse. After payment, when they issued them the license, they discovered that some some items have been taken away from the license. So
Who
they said no, by the NBC. That was the very first issue that we had. Now, those ones went to court to enforce their right that no, return this thing. They were in court until this government came in. And this government did the right thing, of course. They called them to the table. They agreed. So they withdrew the case from court. And we read that they gave them 3 months. That, okay, it was the last government that, that gave you this license.
This deal,
now, you need to prove to us that you are competent. We were told that they gave them 3 months to finish the Abuja transmission line. And they finished under that 3 months, and the vice president commissioned it. So they started operation already until ICPC came into the picture again to say, no, you don't have right. Okay, after they finished, they paid them. Maybe they finished Abuja and Kaduna or so. Then they were paid. Now, ICPC now came to say that that they should not be paid. That is the reason they are in court today. Now let us look at that fact, whether that is true or not.
No, that ICPC then decided to take the NBC chairman,
to court.
DG to court,
Okay.
saying that he misled the minister to pay Pinnacle. Meanwhile, Pinnacle had won the bid before even the current NBC DG was appointed.
Yeah.
So if someone was appointed long after they won the bid, how do you then accuse him of being the one who introduced them to the minister?
Of complicity.
And if they won the bid and the white paper indicated clearly that they should be paid for the services, what has the DG done wrong? This is why they are in court. But since the matter is in court, why don't you wait for the resolution of the matter? What were you going to do in their office? Why do you want to arrest the CEO and some of his staff when the matter was in court? Is it such a bad thing to wait for the resolution of the matter? This is a matter that had already gone far. Witnesses had appeared in court. And their submissions taken. So this is the thing. It's just like an attempt to twist someone. This is the way they see it. And it's marks of arrogant use of power. To attempt to intimidate, to twist, harass someone that you are in court with.
But is it not natural to ask if this is not coming from a particular quarter?
We know that it must have come from someone. They couldn't have behaved like that without being prodded, without being prompted by some individual. But the point that we are making is that we are a nation governed by laws.
By laws.
ICPC itself is a creation of the law. So there's no reason for its operatives to behave in a manner that contravenes the law. That is the point. It could be you today, it could be me tomorrow. So this is the point that we are making. Someone has done the job. You claim and then you took the DG and these people to court, the DG of NBC. Wait now for the matter to be resolved by the court. Maybe you are the one who took them to court.
Kolawole, it's not laughing matter. I'm laughing. You are tongue-tied when you hear things like this. This is straightforward. It's straightforward case, straightforward business.
Now, let me shock you. Do you know that ICPC did not charge the DG for payment? They charge him for recommending
payment.
And wait for it. The approval authority is not charged. Number two.
And because they believe that the approving authority was misled.
Now let me shock you here.
Yeah, because the minister
wait for this.
Promising us the changeover is coming very soon.
The man was running for this
cause. Things making us experience delay.
Honestly,
this court case is needless.
Oh boy.
Now, so when are we going to complete it?
Wait for it. The minister, I'm sure that the man is
perplexed.
He wants this done
in his time.
He wants to take the glory of doing this. And I'm sure. See, do you? If you read the charge sheet, you'll be shocked. The DG said that I recommended based on this clause in the law to the minister, and the minister said I also dependent on that law.
The white paper.
To approve.
After all, the minister is a lawyer, so he understands the language of contracts and so on.
But the white paper recommended
payment.
How is it anybody's fault that you have followed the dictates of the white paper?
CJ, now, do you know that in the white paper, set-top box operators, those who are to manufacture decoders, were not recommended for payment, but those ones are being paid now. But nobody is taking them to court. Why do you want to destroy an indigenous company in Nigeria? Now, see, no, please, wait for this. He said something about the minister. Do you know that ICPC said, as at February or April 2019, that the DG misled the minister? As at that time, the minister was here to give his own
Brother Johnson,
his own statement.
I had hoped we were going to end this show today on a happy note.
No,
it's all right. That's the country.
No, it's setting our country
annoying.
Back. Smaller countries.
This is our own industry.
Countries like Malawi, Nigeria television
this is our own industry.
Before anybody in Africa.
Oh my.
Now, digital switch over, we are now lagging behind. Countries like Malawi, they've completed.
This is man-made, though. No be Satan. No be Satan doing.
So I told a friend.
I hear we must go.
If you want to take,
we must go. We must go. I'm sorry.
We're good.
We've made our point.
Ours is to provoke the debate.
Made our point.
And lay it on you. Let me thank you, Kolawole Johnson.
Thank you.
I wish you very well.
The great citizen.
I hope your heart don't come down small.
I'm okay. It is just too sad that they are destroying our
this
industry.
Is our country.
Yes,
the same issue.
We are doing our best.
Oh yeah. Okay, it's all right. The backroom boys say it don't do. Okay, so we must go. Thank you very kindly. Join us next week for another episode. But if you miss this show, it will be on other platforms. We'll show you on the screen and on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. The feedback channel remains the same. On behalf of the backroom boys, I'm Citizen Jones. Thanking you for watching. Bye-bye now.